Hello, I am back again with another 1959 Cadillac Series 62 sedan video. And you may be wondering why, since if you saw my last video, you know that I in fact have sold it. And make sure to check that out, and if you want, go through the whole playlist of almost 10 years of ownership of that car. I kind of talked in that last video about why I was selling it. I think I'd also mused on the topic in a few other earlier videos. So today I'm not going to focus so much on that as I'm going to talk about what it's like to sell a classic car on Facebook Marketplace. Now, I had actually recorded an earlier version of this during the latter portion of the selling stage, where I was kind of really frustrated because the car was not selling and the offers I was getting I thought were just kind of ridiculous, and just the whole interaction was not pleasant. And I think I actually shot that whole video, edited it, and got it ready to post, and it said, selling a classic car on Facebook, don't. So it's kind of ironic for me to have posted that, considering, in fact, I did sell it on Facebook Marketplace. As you can see, it's sold there. So I just want to talk a little bit about the process. So maybe not totally negative, but kind of want to give not so much warning, but real input and feedback on what it's like to sell a classic car on Facebook Marketplace. I still will say I don't think it's the best place to do it. And that's not to rag on Facebook Marketplace. I love Facebook Marketplace. I use it all the time to find things. I love the Buy Nothing community that's part of it. If you're not familiar with that, that's BUY, and it's very restricted to your neighborhood. And it's all like literally people only giving away items, no cash exchanges. It's just literally, I have this item, I don't want it anymore. Who wants it? And it's a great thing. And just in general, I like Facebook Marketplace. I will say this. It's a great place to learn about classic cars. Like if you're interested in a particular classic car, or just a general, whether it's a specific year, make, and model like me, or just in general, like, hey, I want to look at like 1950s trucks, Fords, Chevys, Dodges, International Harvesters, everything. It's a great place to just go on there and look around and see what's selling, look at pictures, see what kind of options were available on the vehicles, what sort of restoration things were done, and it's a great way to learn. I know I play the game all the time, like late at night, getting ready to go to bed, I'm just dinking around on my phone, and I love to just go on Facebook Marketplace and do searches and see what's selling. And do like specific things, like what's classic cars made between 1939 and 1972 that are selling for like $5,000 or $6,000 or less, and you'd be surprised what's out there. You can find things. In general, I don't think it's a great place for selling classic cars, particularly more things that are worth $10,000 or more. Certainly not something that's worth like $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. Is just because it's sort of like the wild, wild west. Is you are just going to get inquiries and input, and good questions and stupid questions, and I hate to say it, not a few nefarious people out there that are just looking to screw with you, either try and get you to sell the car to them for some ridiculously low price, or honestly, I think people just to mess with your head. So I thought I'd go through like my listing and look at some of the actual chats that I had with real people, to tell you what it's like. Now, good thing about the chats is it only shows the first name, so hopefully I won't be revealing anybody's private information here. I don't want to embarrass folks or expose them like that, but it's more just an informative and hopefully entertaining thing to see what it's like to do this process. So there's the listing. As you can see, I originally had it listed for $27,000, which honestly I think was probably closer to the actual value of the car in its current condition, which is to say mechanically sound, but the body and paint, really needed to be addressed in some way. It kind of was at that driver level, maybe even low driver level. It had like obvious rust showing in the rockers and along the lower doors and stuff. So just, as I said, it was a great 10-foot car, and you got closer than 10 feet, and you could see all the obvious flaws in it. And I tried to be honest, so you can see my listing here. I gave a whole thing. In the description, I gave a very detailed thing of here, this is a Survivor with original paint, that there's rust on it, the pans and frames are solid, but you can just drive it like it is, as I said, which is what I've been doing, or take it to the next level. And I had acquired a bunch of parts over time: fender patch panels, rockers, lights, emblems. Honestly, probably about $1,500 worth of parts to go on the car, that were going to come with it. And pictures. I had a video. You really want. I'll say this: if you're selling any car on Marketplace, you really, or buying one, you really want a video so people can hear the engine, and get a sense of what it's for. Like, so there was the video. I'm not going to play the audio with that, but as you can see, it was like a whole walk around. See, it's running. Get into the engine bay, so people could really hear what's going on. And then, of course, shots of the cars from all sorts of angles: interior, front, engine, to show the condition of the car, as it actually is. So you see like the popping paint, the original enamel paint coming off there on the deck lid. You can see like this piece here, which has probably had the most serious pitting of all the chrome, and like that. Like there, I showed, there's the combination of the lower rockers and the lower front fender that I had patch panels for, just to say, hey, here's what the car actually looks like. And you would be surprised. Despite that, I still had probably 15 inquiries that were basically just like, does it have rust? Even though the first two sentences of the car, the description, says it has rust, and there's pictures of the rust. And that's what you find out here, is that a lot of the people are scrolling through these on their phone. They're not looking very carefully, and they're not even reading the descriptions. They're not even going through all the photos, and then they ask really dumb questions like that. And speaking of dumb questions, the thing is, when you post a car like this, especially an iconic car like the 1959 Cadillac, literally one of the most recognizable body shapes in the history of automotive, is you'll get lots and lots of interest, not a lot of it what I would call like serious buyers. So looking at this is the actual conversations that I had with real people about this car. And you're saying it goes on and on and on. I have not added it up, but it was well over 100 of these messages, and some of them went as far as just one or two questions and they were gone. Some of them went much longer. I would say of that 100 and some odd, 130, whatever total inquiries it was, maybe 15 were what I would deem serious. And of those, maybe about 5 or 6 actually came down to a level of like discussing money and prices and things like that. A lot of people, because Facebook Marketplace allows you to choose automated questions, again, people are on their phone and they're just dinking and want to save time. The first one is, hi, is this still available? And so many people click that, you would not even believe that it actually has become a thing where people will put in whatever they're selling on Facebook Marketplace. I will not respond to, is it still available? Because you get so many of those. And first of all, what it tells you is that it's probably not a serious thing, because if they can't even take the time to actually tap out a real question or something, they're just looking around or dinking or whatever. And I probably, of that 120, 130, probably 40, 45 of those were just, is this available? Yeah. Is it available? But you can see some of these, so I posted it right at the end of November, I think November 27th. It's now the middle of April. So it took about 4.5 months for it to actually sell. I had 2 or 3 points where I actually thought it was sold and done, where I actually had like a price. We had agreed on a price. We agreed on a timing. And then it's just basically waiting for that time to come, and then we would do the transaction, and the person just ghosted on me, just ghosted. So just clicking on some of these conversations, so you can see a lot of time invested in this. Like here's one with Tony. I sent Tony, or in this case, the other thing you will get a lot of is people saying, "Hey, do you want to trade? I have this car here." Um, uh, and some of these, I talked to a particular person for months, going through conversations. But like Robert here was a guy in a remote area who wanted to. One of the big challenges was the cost of shipping the car to him, because he couldn't. It didn't make sense to come spend a lot of money to come look at it if he wasn't definitely going to buy it. So Robert and I probably had talks for almost since day one. And I mean, things were like, I sent him custom videos, custom photos, all sorts of things that he asked for. He kept trying to jaw me down on the price, and he did. I'm glad I didn't sell it to him, because I probably would have been kicking myself. I ended up selling the car for right about what I had it listed for. So I felt pretty good about that. Would have been much, much less if I'd done it with Mr. Robert. Curtis, I think he was, he was a guy who came in very, very late, like literally after I'd already agreed to sell to the, Curtis was one of the people that I was talking to in the last. I had a fellow, I can't remember if it was Ray or Riley, who right after I'd already agreed to sell the car and hammer it at a price, he contacted me the next day and was like, "I'm 4 hours away. I will get in my truck right now with the trailer and come there with cash to buy it." And I was like, "Well, I've already made an agreement with a buyer. If, he says he's just going to the bank to arrange the money," I basically said, if he hasn't done that within a day or two, you'll be my first call. He was really hot to trot. I feel bad. I think, pretty sure that was Riley. And man, I wish I'd met Riley on day 2 of listing the car. It would have been great to move it that fast. Mark, Todd, Gabe, all these different people that you talk to. I mean, a lot of these are individual conversations. In some cases just one or two back and forth. In some cases, it went on for weeks, where people would say, "Send me a photo of the undercarriage," "Send me a photo of the trunk space. Send me, shoot me a video of it idling cold and idling warm." And I would send all these. So many, many hours doing these. Comber was actually a local person here in Indianapolis area, who she was going to come test drive it again after I'd already agreed to a buyer. Actually, I think that buyer was Ariel, someone from down south. He actually physically came here from down south to look at the car, and I thought it was sold. I thought for sure it was sold. Like, who's going to spend all that, drive, hundreds of miles to be here if they're not going to buy the car? He didn't buy the car. Yeah, he came and took a look at it, and you can get a sense when you're talking to somebody pretty quickly how educated they are about these cars. If they start asking you really, really basic questions, that tells you, like, hey, they're in that exploration phase that I mentioned. They're just they're checking things out. They don't really know much about these cars, and they're asking you things, like, well, how, like I would say, the fender and rockers, like, how much would it cost to have those put on? And and it's like, well, you need to do a little investigation. And what I got from a bunch of people were truly interested in this car for themselves as a hobby. They want to have the car and enjoy it just like I did. Quite a number of people out there are professional dealers, and they are looking to flip the car, which means they want to buy the car low, maybe invest a little bit of time and money into it, and then resell it for a nice profit. The gentleman from down south definitely fell into that category. The gentleman from the remote location who claimed that he was an old guy, and I just always wanted one of these cars. It turns out other people that I know him. He's a somewhat known guy within the Cadillac community for buying them up cheap and then reselling them, usually overseas. That's the other thing, is the Cadillacs in particular, but a lot of mid-century American cars have become very popular in other parts of the world, especially Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, up there. A lot of people now are dealers who are buying these cars up on consignment to resell into Scandinavia or somewhere else. And that's what you can see. Like Joe was a buyer of mine. He was an older gentleman in Illinois. Actually, had two older gentlemen in Illinois that I was talking to at the same time, and almost to the point of getting them confused. Joe and I had a deal. We had struck a bargain on a price. We talked about shipping. We talked about all. As far as I knew, it was a done deal. And he said, I just need a little time to put the money together, which I understand. It's like if you've got money in here in an investment account, you need to pull some out. It takes a day or two to sell it, move it in and stuff like that. That's pretty typical. But, after I think it was 10 days or 2 weeks, Joe still did not have the money. And then you can probably see my last message to Joe was, Joe, just wanted to check in and see how we're doing. Are we still in the process of putting the money together? See that back on March 17th. Old Joe just ghosted on me. A lot of people tend to do with Facebook Marketplace. They're just ghosting on you. So, yeah, that's the up and down. I'll say this to wrap up about selling a car on Facebook Marketplace is you've either got to be one of a few things. You've either got to be really desperate, or you're like me, you were pretty casual in that I don't need to sell this car immediately. I'm just sort of testing the market to see what's what. And if I get a good offer, I get a good offer. If I don't, I don't. So that was the situation that I was in. Yeah. And then you'll get, other people that, yeah, I hate to say it. There's some people that are out there. I like to think good of the world and good of people. I don't think they're trying to screw you over as a general thing. That's not I don't go into the world entering a negotiation like this thinking hey, we're just trying to screw each other and who's going to do the better job of it. People really do, I think, for the most of the time, really just like these cars and want to get a nice one or sell someone. So I would say if you're desperate and want to throw something out there fast, just to sell it fast and quickly. Otherwise, probably the next time who knows, if I ever sell a classic car again, maybe will down the line, I'll use some of those more professional services like bringatrailer.com is very popular right now because you can generally get good prices. That tends to be for high-end cars that people are looking to get really premium prices on. It's basically an auction that's online, and people want Bring a Trailer. They want super detailed photos, history of the car, a really, really exhaustive thing to buy and bid online for these things. I mean, 300 photos is not unusual on a Bring a Trailer listing. So obviously there's quite a bit of investment, if nothing else, time. eBay Motors, and then you've got all the different online car sites, Cars.com, Auto Trader, CarsGuru.com. Those all involve a cost, of course, but I would say if you're selling a 1959 Cadillac or something else, yeah, invest the time and a little bit of money. I think the thing is, with something like Facebook Marketplace, it's everybody. And so it's really hard to separate the wheat from the chaff. The people who are really, really, really interested in buying your car and the people who are just kicking tires and they're looky-loos. And they're just, from their perspective, they're not looking to waste your time. But believe me, if you're having to deal with 40 or 50 or 100 of them, suddenly you're looking at, I would hate to even add up how many dozens of hours, I'm sure. I had conversations with people who ended up not even being a serious thing. So yeah, that was my experience. I did end up selling the car on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, I know the reason most people use it is it's a free listing. The downside of a free listing also is they're just offering you the connection. So like, there's nothing to enforce someone ghosting on you or saying, yes, I'm going to buy the car, and then just not showing up, or, you know, saying I'm going to buy the car and then they show up that day and like, well, I'll buy it for $5,000 less than we agreed on, and things like that. It's just, when it's everybody, you get everybody and all their different problems and peccadillos. With one of the paid online sites, you're automatically separating out, I think, a lot of the people who aren't serious, and that's the benefit. So certainly, I can't say as I've never bought a classic car on Facebook Marketplace. I've always found them through other listings, and that's probably the way to go. So in the end, that's my take on my experience of selling the 1959 Cadillac on Facebook Marketplace. Really not a positive experience, even though I ended up having the result of what I wanted. But anyway, hopefully you will have better luck in your buying and selling on Facebook Marketplace or anywhere, classic cars or not. I really do love this car. Love classic cars in general. I love this car, but it was time for me to let it go. I think next time I will try and just be a little more organized about selling it and use another forum. So that's my take. Thanks very much. And if you're interested, go ahead and check out the rest of the 59 Cadillac channel playlist. It's a good one, I think. So take care, and we appreciate you. Bye.